Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Namaste. So I think we can begin today's session. Most of the people are here, I believe. So okay, let's begin today's session. Back and neck straight. Just gently close your eyes. If you're wearing specs, you can remove them and start observing your breath. Sit comfortably. Relax your neck and shoulders. Observe your posture. And once you feel you're in the correct posture, you can come back to the breath. Just observe the natural flow of the breath. And once your breath begins to settle, you can go ahead and deepen your breath. Just make sure when you're doing so, there is no effort. It's naturally getting longer and deeper. Relax the mind. And prepare yourselves mentally for chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. After your next exhalation, inhale deeply for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Join both your palms together in front of the chest and rub both the palms together. Place them over the eyes and very slowly while blinking, and looking at your palms, open up your eyes, come back with a smile. And namaste to everyone. Welcome to your philosophy classes, yoga philosophy classes, actually, to be very precise. These are yoga philosophy classes. Okay, so I'll start today's class with a brief introduction. So, my name is Soumya, and one thing about me is I have a hard time remembering names. So, for you guys, at least I can see your names on the screen. But as a short introduction, I would suggest that we do the introduction in such a way where we are using one adjective with the letter with which my name starts. So for me, like my introduction is simple Soumya. So it becomes easy for me to remember everyone who is over here. So you can unmute yourselves and introduce yourselves. You can tell me something about yourself if you want, like it's up to you. But adding the adjective is something I would really appreciate. So yeah, go ahead. You can unmute yourselves. Let me know about yourself.
Good morning. This is Humble Hardeep.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. How about others of you? Hmm.
Good morning. My name is Dagmar and I'm from Germany.
Okay, great.
Morning, my name is actually Rachel. It comes up as Leaf. So Radiant Rachel. There you go. Not at this time in the morning though.
That's okay. Nice. Okay. Creative.
I'm Merle
Mhm.
and I'm very motivated. So maybe I'm motivated Merle.
Sorry, can you repeat again? You are?
Merle.
Okay. Hmm. Okay. Who is left?
Namaste. Myself Rohini, and as such, this is my first class actually. Yeah.
Okay.
What should I say? I don't know. That
That's
is my
okay.
introduction. Simple. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay. So so you guys are going to have a 1 month journey with me where I will be covering topics which are already there in your pre-recorded videos, but this is a good way of learning where you can directly connect with the teacher. So you can watch those videos before you take these classes. That's up to you how you want to schedule yourselves, because live classes, once they start, they're back to back. So if you have if you have time in between, you can watch those videos, then join the classes so that you have more clarity on the concepts already. Or you can just come over here, join, and ask doubts as they come up. Okay, it's totally up to you. So today we are starting with a very main subject. When people come to yoga, they have a very different perception of what yoga is. But the essence of yoga lies in subjects like philosophy, meditation. I would say if you're teaching asanas, then anatomy. These subjects are generally not very, like, they're not explored generally speaking, but they are the ones which will actually help you to move ahead in your spiritual journey. So, asana till a particular point will help you to push your journey ahead. But after that, there is more to yoga. And that is what we will be covering. What more is there to yoga, and how we can use this, I would say, art, science, skill, you can call it anything. Yoga can be classified as any one of these in modern times. how you can use it in your day-to-day life. Because see, the point is not learning about yoga. The point is things like yoga are supposed to be implemented in your life. Okay, so these classes will help you to actually think about what you are studying and take the things that are best for you and implement them as per your own I would say understanding and how your life allows you to implement those. So yoga and philosophy, we'll be discussing both of these terms in the class, trying to understand their meaning, and both of them are oceans in themselves. Okay, so yoga is a big ocean. If you go in that field, you will find a lot to read, study about. And then if you separately pick up the topic of philosophy, the subject of philosophy, you can go ahead, read multiple things in that. Okay, so we are narrowing the philosophy field down to the yoga. Okay, down to yoga, whatever yoga philosophy has to say. So let me just start with the meaning of what philosophy is. Okay, so philosophy is a term which has been which can be broken down into two parts, which is, I will just write this down in the chat box also so you guys can make your notes. Philo, okay, one is that. And Sophia, just knowledge. Philo means love and Sophia means knowledge. So if I go to the literal meaning of what philosophy is, it is actually the love for knowledge. Yeah. Now, moving aside from the literal meaning of the word philosophy, I would like to ask all of you who are present over here, how much do you like? Is there anybody around here who understands what life is, what the external world around you is, and more importantly, what your internal world is? Is there anyone who has gained a very deep understanding of this particular thing in life? Because if you are over there, means that philosophy has already become a very important part of your life. So it's not something separate from us. It's the way in which we function in our life. Basically, we all have a philosophy of life. We Yeah. Okay. So basically, we have certain values, ethics in our life which we follow, and that you can say is your philosophy of life. Yes. So there were certain. Just give me a moment. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, what I was trying to tell you was all of us have various philosophies of our own with which we lead our life. Okay. So there were certain philosophies that were given based on an understanding of the things around us and within us. Okay. And those were categorized as the different schools of philosophy. Okay. So if you go into Western philosophy, there are different ways in which people have tried to describe whatever is around them and somewhere even touch upon what is within them. But when you come into Indian philosophy, you will see it's more of a spiritual journey. It's more about the spiritual aspect of a person's life rather than just trying to understand, rather than just trying to make sense of what is around you. Indian philosophy went one step ahead. I'm not saying other philosophies did not, but Indian philosophy went in very deep when it comes to the spiritual understanding of the own one's own nature, of one's own being. Okay, so yoga philosophy is a part of the Indian philosophy. Okay, first thing. So Indian philosophy, and then part of Indian philosophy is yoga philosophy. Okay, so in general, when we see something new, it's human tendency to try to make sense of what is around us and how we are going to adapt ourselves with that thing. Okay, so for example, you're trying to learn a new skill. Okay, so you'll get adjusted to your external environment. You'll try to learn, understand that skill, pick up that skill. Okay, so same thing is happening over here when we study philosophy. We are trying to make sense of something external, internal, doesn't matter to us. And we're trying to understand how we can pick up a skill of leading our own life in accordance with the ideology, or I can say the pillars of that particular philosophy. So each school of philosophy has its own understanding of what everything around it is, what you are, and what is the right way of leading one's own life. Okay. Okay. So let me just, because we are doing yoga philosophy, let me just give you the Indian schools of philosophy. Okay. So we have the school. Indian philosophy has been divided into two parts. One is your orthodox school and one is heterodox school. Okay. So I'm going to write all of this down in the chat box. You guys can take notes. Okay. Now the orthodox schools were further subdivided into six schools. Mm, just give me a moment. Mm, Nyaya Vaisheshik. Okay. Then we have Sankhya and Yoga. And last we have Mimamsa, and Vedanta. So these are the six orthodox schools. I will tell you why I have written these in this manner only. Then let me come to the heterodox schools. So we have Buddhism, Jainism, and Charvak. Okay. So when I come to the orthodox schools, why is there a division in the beginning? Orthodox and heterodox, what's the difference between both of them? So when you go to orthodox schools, they accept whatever the Vedas have said and then they give their philosophy. Okay. But when you go to heterodox schools, they do not take the things that the Vedas have said as it is. Okay, so one school, like orthodox schools, are accepting the Vedas as they are, and then in accordance with that, they are assuming. So that is the assumption that Vedas, whatever the Vedas are saying, that thing is true, and then they have further given their philosophy. Okay, but heterodox schools, when you go to them, they do not accept what the Vedas have said. It's not that they reject the Vedas. They are just like, okay, so if I'm trying to understand something, or if I'm trying to, follow something in my life, then whatever is written, okay, that must have been true for those people. But I'm going to go on my own journey, try to explore and try to navigate through life in my own way. Okay, so it's not that they reject the Vedas, they might come to the same conclusion as the Vedas did, but they just do not accept whatever the Vedas have said as it is. Okay, so they are one of the oldest scriptures that are there when we try to, understand overall everything in life, when you try to understand that. So okay, so this becomes the distinction between both the schools, orthodox and heterodox. Okay. Then, as we go into the orthodox schools, you see that I have paired all of them. Like two pairings are there, six schools are there overall. So, why this pairing? This pairing is there because one forms the theoretical base. Okay. And when you go to the other one, it forms the practical part portion. I can say it's the practical portion of the theory that is given in the previous school. Okay, so for us, because Sankhya and Yoga is relevant, let me touch upon that, because that is one which we are going to talk about at length. Okay, so Sankhya and Yoga, so this particular pair. So Sankhya gives you the philosophy. Okay. Okay. Now Sankhya will tell you, okay, we are made out of these elements. We don't have to go in detail when we are talking of Sankhya, but I'm just giving you a very brief touch up on what Sankhya talks about. So Sankhya talks about we are made up of made up of these many elements. Then this is the process that happens. This is why this process happens. That is how we come into existence. That is how everything around us comes into existence. And it's basically telling you, because it's dividing whatever there is, telling you how everything that exists is. It is also somewhere giving you how you have to go back to your true nature. Okay, so all of yoga, all of the philosophies are trying to get you back to your, try to gain an understanding and get you back to the true nature. At least I can say that this is true for Indian philosophy. Okay. So Sankhya will break all of these things down for you. It will tell you this is like this is like this. Then when you join yoga with it, okay, so it's a separate school of philosophy. But when yoga comes with it, it accepts certain things that Sankhya has said. Okay. So for example, the elements, the way in which the elements are divided, are accepted directly by yoga. Okay. It has made a few alterations, but it has been directly accepted by the yoga philosophy. So yoga is not working on trying to trying to go into the theoretical basis of what is going on. You, when you come to yoga philosophy, you will understand how you're going to do that, how you're going to, okay, now I'm telling you, go get liberated, go, that is where your peace is, that is where all the sufferings will end. But how are you going to get into that process? Okay. One thing is, I know about something. So for example, I know about something that is existing. Suppose I get something sweet in front of you. Okay. So I tell you that this is a sweet, and this is how it is, this is how it is, this is the texture, you can see it, it's there in front of you. But it's only when you taste it that you're actually able to comprehend what I'm trying to say. I can explain that, okay, this is how sweet it is, this is the degree of sweetness, this is the texture, this is how you will feel when you will eat it. But unless and until you do not eat it, you will not understand what I'm talking about. You'll get an idea, but you'll not be able to understand that. So Sankhya will tell you, okay, this is there, this is how it is, this is the texture, this is the sweetness. And when you come into yoga, you will actually be able to experience all of those things. So Sankhya, I would say, will appeal more to your mind when you're going into yoga philosophy. But if you want to go into the experience part of it, then the ways are given in yoga. So when you go into yoga, you will find the practice of, like, you will have classes, asana classes, yes. Then you will have your pranayam class. You will start experiencing certain things when you go into these practices. Then you will have your meditation class, which is like very important when you're on the path of yoga. The experience, the addition will happen mostly in your meditation classes. So these are all the things that you will be doing to get to a place where you will be free from all of your sufferings. Okay. So this is how the pairing is done. Same with Nyaya and Vaisheshik. And last one we have, that is your Mimamsa and Vedant. Okay. So one is theory, one is practice. Okay. You can read in depth about all of them. Each school has their own understanding of what is right, what is true, what is reality, what is the world around them. So if you are, if you get very interested in the entire subject of philosophy, there is a lot to explore. Okay. Then we come to the heterodox schools. Now when you come to the heterodox schools, they have given you the, they have given the philosophy also. Okay, this is the theory, and then they have given the practice also. So let me take the example of Buddhism. Okay. So when you go into Buddhism, you will read that there are certain truths that have been talked of. Siddharth Gautam talked of certain truths that were there in life. Yes. And one of them he said was suffering. Suffering is a truth of life. Okay. So he talked of the Four Noble Truths, then he talked of other things that exist. And then he gave the practice of Anapan and Vipassana to get out of the suffering. So the theory and practice is there in that school itself. But when you read about Buddhism, you will also see that Siddharth Gautam specifically talked mostly about experience. Okay. So unless and until you do not experience the reality of a particular thing, he said, reject that thing. Okay. So suppose this happens a lot with all of us. So if somebody elder to us is telling us something, we we do not understand it, but we accept that, okay, whatever they are saying would be true because they have experienced life. But it's not in my experience when I'm listening to that person that, okay, if I do this, this will happen. It's
only when I do that thing, then I will gain an understanding of that thing. So let me take a very short, simple example of this also. Suppose there is fire in front of me, and to a little kid, fire is very attractive. Okay, so the kid saw the fire and immediately ran towards it. So the adult stopped the kid and said, no, no, if you go over there, you will burn yourself. And the kid is not able to understand this because he or she hasn't experienced that before. But once you touch that fire and you burn yourself, that is when you understand that this is not supposed to be done. So same thing Buddhaji said. I'm not saying he said that go and touch fire and then, gain an understanding of the nature of fire. He just emphasized on the fact that if you have experienced it, it's true for you. And if you have not experienced it, it's not true for you. Okay. People can tell you anything, everything in the spiritual world. You will get lost a lot of times because there is so much information out there. But the main thing that will matter for you in your own journey is the one you experience. So when you finish these classes at the end of your 25, 28 days, the things that you will grasp will make the most difference in your life. So heterodox schools were more of this philosophy that, okay, I mean, if I experience it, then I know that, okay, this is there, this is not there. Okay. So same if you come to Charvak philosophy. Charvak did not believe in afterlife. Okay, so if you go in other, not afterlife, reincarnation. Okay, so one life, then other life, other life. So Charvak said, okay, whatever I can see, that's the only thing that is true for me. So let me do one thing. Let me at least enjoy this life. So you must have seen in a lot of places, you only live once. That is Charvak philosophy. You only live once, and you need to derive the most out of it. Okay, so he gave certain principles, certain rules of how to enhance the pleasure in life. So right now we think we are deriving pleasure when we are doing certain things, but it's actually leading to more suffering in our life. Okay, so he gave a set of principles, a set of rules in which he said that, okay, if you want to get in that category where you want to enjoy life, these things you will have to do so that you can make the most of your life. Because I don't know about any other birth that will take place, but the one life that I have, I need to live it properly. Okay. So these are the various, see, already we haven't discussed all the schools, but you can already see that the thoughts are very different. Yeah, somebody is considering something to be true, somebody is considering something to be true. So according to their own truth and reality, the truth and reality of that school, there is a way that is given to liberate yourself. Because of course, if I'm not believing in certain principles, then I cannot use that way of liberating myself. Okay. So you can read about these things in brief after the class. You can go ahead, search all of these philosophies and see which one appeals to you most for your own personal development. But in our classes, we are going to be touching upon yoga philosophy. Okay. So any doubts so far, like from whatever we have discussed? No? Okay. Any is the whole concept of philosophy making sense to you? Because see, we are at the end of the day trying to make sense only of things. So is the whole thing like, it will begin to seep in actually with time. This whole concept of why we are doing certain things, why we are not doing certain things will begin to seep in. So for my classes specifically, I would say that keep an open mind. Okay. And whatever school we are sticking to, that will become our basis of learning everything ahead. Okay. So sometimes what happens is doubts come up because we have our own philosophy of life, and that philosophy is not in sync with yoga philosophy. Okay. So if you go on the path of yoga and you study that philosophy in itself, then you will have mostly have no doubts about things. Like mostly questions will still come up trying to understand what is being said, but at least the contradiction or conflict that arises in the mind will not happen if you're specifically just focusing on the school. But generally what happens is our minds are in themselves a mixture of schools of thoughts. Okay, so when we narrow it down to one school, it becomes hard for us to accept it as it is. Okay, and then the situation of a conflict comes in our mind. Why is this not happening in this way, or why is this not being said, or why this, why that? Okay, so when these things come up, uh, I would encourage you to actually see it from the point of view or of the yoga school. Okay, instead of how you are viewing things. Okay, then most of the conflict will end. Second thing, which is very important when I conduct philosophy classes, there is no need for you to change your own being just because you are studying yoga and you are studying yoga philosophy. Okay, whatever is good for you, whatever you think you can implement and is good for you, go ahead and do that thing. Okay, it's very important for you to not force yourself on this path. Okay, there is a very thin line between forcing yourself and discipline. So discipline is also tough, and when you force yourself, it's also tough. Both of them are tough. But when you are when you are trying to gain discipline in a particular practice or anything you do, then after a while you will start seeing all the benefits. All the things will start coming in easily. But if you're forcing yourself to change something, you will jump back to where you were very easily. Why? Because you actually internally do not believe that. So whatever you gain, whatever discussions we have in the class, and whatever you gain out of that, and it goes internally, like till your internal mind, it's over there that okay, now I have to do this. Adopt those things. Apart from that, it's okay for you to not accept everything. Like, I do not believe in that, in forcing thoughts, because when people come in you, they have this um, understanding that it's also a religion or it's also a sect. But yoga is actually not a sect, it's just a way of living, and a healthy way of living, in which your mind, body, emotions, everything is in balance. Okay, so adopt those things and don't ever force yourself. Okay, so we have discussed the schools of philosophy, we have discussed the meaning of philosophy. One more thing, another meaning that I should have mentioned in the beginning only, is the word philosophy is easily understood as love for knowledge. But when you go into Indian philosophy, there is a name for it. For philosophy, also, there is a Sanskrit name, which is darshan. Okay, so let me write this down. Darshan. And in darshan, this word has been derived from the root word drishya. So the root word is which means to see.
I will go out and raining.
So we have somewhere made an attempt to understand philosophy, but darshan takes it a step forward. So when you're studying Indian philosophy, the word darshan will help you to understand the entire school, very like school of thought, very easily. So one thing is, when a word is translated from one language to the other, there is some essence that the word loses. Okay, so if I talk of philosophy, I can say 10 things about philosophy, but most things that I say about philosophy will not be able to cover the word darshan. Okay, so when I come to the root word, the Sanskrit word of darshan, then there is some scope, there is some unsaid aspect that is added to it. Okay, and that aspect you will be able to understand once you start practicing. So it's been derived from the root word drishya, which means to see. So right now, when we discussed philosophy, we were trying to make sense of everything around us, within us, everything, anything and everything. Okay. But once you come to the word darshan, the I would say something more is added, and that something is that you're trying to see something. One thing is you're trying to see something. Now, how are you seeing it and what are you seeing is the question that comes up when you come to the word darshan. Okay, so one thing is how are you seeing it? So you're not seeing whatever you're trying to understand, you're not seeing it through the eyes. Okay, one thing is that it's the mind through which you are able to experience something. Okay, you're trying to gain an understanding through the I would say power or the ability of your mind. Okay, then what are you trying to see? Now if I'm trying to see something which cannot be viewed through the eyes, then again it's not visible, it's not something that is physical that I'm trying to see. Okay, so the thing that you're trying to gain an understanding of will never be external to you. Okay, so when you come to the word darshan, mostly what you're trying to understand the spiritual aspect that I talked of in the beginning also, that the word darshan, just by saying the word darshan, that meaning is by default covered in this. Okay, that the thing that I'm trying to see through the mind cannot be perceived through the senses. Okay, it can only be perceived in a state where I go within and experience that thing. Okay, so in the regard of yoga philosophy, we are trying to understand our own pure consciousness. Okay, so the soul, I would say, the next word for your own consciousness is the soul. We talk of mind, body, soul when we talk of yoga. So that soul part that we are trying to understand will come over here when we are talking of the process of darshan. Okay, so we're trying to see the soul, we're trying to see it through the mind, and these are the 2 points, and this process in between is darshan actually. Okay, so the process of trying to perceive something which cannot be perceived through the eyes is the entire process of darshan. Okay, so philosophy has this amazing quality of trying to take trying to uplift the state of your mind. Okay, so right now we're functioning at a lower level of mind where we are perceiving everything outside of us using our senses and trying to exist in this world and trying to survive in this world, I would say. Yeah, but when you go into deeper subjects like philosophy, we are stepping up into a higher level of the mind where now we're asking the questions like who am I, or what does my life mean, what is the purpose of my life, these higher level questions that we come to. That is why most people come to yoga, because when nothing makes sense, it's yoga which starts to make sense. Yes, most people, like right now it's been adopted professionally also, but in earlier times this was the main basis of coming to spiritual studies like you. When nothing around you seems to make sense, then you step into a higher state of mind where you question things. Why is this happening? Why me? This question comes up a lot in our life. Why me? Why did this happen with me? Or what is going around? What is my purpose? So these things are only answered once you come into that higher state of mind and gain an understanding. Okay, there is something above and beyond what I am seeing. and then you come into understanding what is it above and beyond what you are seeing, and how you have to tap into that, how you have to reach that where that state where you are at least in a balanced state of mind, or balanced, everything in your life becomes balanced. So that is what overall I would say philosophy is: attaining that balance, trying to understand the way to attain that balance. Okay, so any doubts in any of what we have discussed? Okay. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Nobody unmuted themselves. Okay, so for today, you guys can go read about all of these schools, little bit. Okay, and just yeah, that's your work task for today. Okay, so that for tomorrow's class, tomorrow we'll be discussing what yoga is. Okay, so tomorrow, for being to be ready for tomorrow's class, just read a little bit about all of these things, and we'll discuss the meaning of yoga tomorrow. Okay, so let's end today's session. Okay, we'll be chanting Om one time, followed by three shantis. Okay, so back next straight. Close your eyes and start watching your breath. Allow all of this information to seep in. And after the next exhalation, inhale deeply for Om. Shanti. 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 Just feel the vibrations. Join both your palms together in front of the chest and bow down. We'll remember any one incident from the past 24 hours that we are grateful for. Say a mental thank you. And rub both your palms together. Keep them on your eyes. And very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, open up your eyes. Come back with a big smile. And namaste to everyone. I will see all of you tomorrow. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
थैंक यू मैम। मैम मैं कुछ आपसे बात करना चाहती हूँ। शैल आई टॉक टू लेटर ऑन
आपके कोई
रिगार्डिंग एग्जाम एक्चुअली।
अच्छा, ओके। हाँ, आप मुझे मैसेज कर दीजिए।
ओके मैम। ओके मैम। थैंक यू।
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
You will provide us notes or we'll have to search it by own?
See, today the philosophy thing that we have discussed, this you can search it on your own. Okay.
Okay.
Apart from that, you must have been sent a course manual, or if you haven't been so far, you will. Like, we have a course manual. Okay. So there you find the theory for everything we are discussing in the class.
Okay. So you will send us on WhatsApp or on email?
The IT team will send you over email only. Yeah?
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.